Hi! In this video we will put the camshafts, check the clearance and assemble the timing belt. Stay tuned. Let's start now by putting the cams in place and torque them so we can measure the gap between the cam and the shim to check if we have the right shim or not. I will just add a little bit of engine oil on top of each valve. Let's get the intake lifters and shims in place. Now let's take care of the exhaust side. Now let's put some assembly lube on the journals. Now let's just throw the cams in. Carefully. The intake. Let's take the caps, lube them and position them in place. I will start here with the exhaust side. Don't forget, you need to put the numbers facing the rear. I mean, they are stamped. They say E2, this one says E3, but for me to read it correctly, I need to look at it from the back of the engine. If I look from the front, the letter and the number will be upside down. The Z stamped and the other numbers, they don't relate because, for example, on this E2, the Z is on the inside and the E3 is on the outside. So let's just pay attention to the orientation of the letters. Let's now torque the caps. We will use the spec, it says between 11.3 and 40.2 Newton meter. We'll go around 40 and we'll use the bolting sequence recommended. That we start by the cylinder number 2, then the 3, then the 1, then the 4. For last, we tighten the main cap. Now, with the exhaust cam torqued, let's put the caps and torque also the intake side. So I will now add some oil to the top of the shims so we can have a nice and oily surface to work with. We want to have the tip of the cam pointing not straight up but aligned with the angle of the valve. And now we want to measure. Our goal is to have 0.21 millimeter. The minimum is 0.18 and the maximum 0.24. Let's take note of the current clearance and our Excel sheet will tell if it passed or if it failed. For the exhaust side, our ideal clearance is 0.31. which means that we can go to 0.28, 0.34, minimum and maximum. The exhaust side, it's within spec. To continue the installation, we need to put the seal inside and then the cam pulley. I will start with the intake side and then the exhaust, and I will do a small trick that I will release the cap here, put the seal in and then just torque it again. With the new seal, we just put some engine oil. And if you release the pressure, you can just push it by hand, flush. And now let's torque again the bolts. Now that we have the cam seals in place, let's install the water pump. This water pump is from Blueprint. it came with this rubber that you need to install here on top. And now put the gasket in place. You just have one position to put it because you have a long tab here for this bolt. And with the gasket in place, you can just pass like one bolt in here and another down to ensure that the gasket don't come out of the right place. And now you just need to push it on place. Really easy, only 4 bolts, torque them to 25 Newton meter. Next, I will put the water neck for the thermostat housing. I will not use this port, this water exit, so it's already welded and blanketed and ready to install. Just 2 bolts. These need to be torqued to 25 Newton meters also. With the water pump in place and the water neck in place, we can put the base cover here behind the cam pulleys. Next, we can go for the pulleys on the camshafts. Let's start with the exhaust side. Be sure that you have this pin pointing up, because this means that it is pointing the top dead center. If not, you can rotate the cam to have it on top. I will just give it a slight push, just like this, to be pointing up. And now, on the cam pulley itself, you see that you have several marks. You have a E, a Z, and an I. In this case, this pulley will be for the exhaust, so we need to align this pin with the E. And this, like this, we ensure that we are putting the pulley in the exact position that we need it. Let's now torque this guy. This is torqued between 50 and 60 Newton meter. I will torque this one to 60. You need to hold it here, otherwise it will rotate. And just go and torque it. The exhaust side is done, and we have the E pointing up and this mark aligning with that one. Good. Let's now do the intake. For the intake on the VVT engine, you don't have to take any precaution, because this can only go in one position. You have the tab, you have a recess inside, and it can go in only in one place. If you don't have a VVT engine, you will have a pulley like this, and in that case you need to put the eye pointing up like we did for the exhaust. But in this case it's way simpler. You want to see? Just listen for the click. And that's it. You just need to slide it, rotate it until it clicks in. Then you just need to put the bolt and torque it also to between 50 and 60 Newton meter. To finish the cam installation, we just need to close here the cover. Just put the gasket and the cover on the intake cam. To keep going, I need to install the front seal on the crankshaft, because it was changed on the order, and I just had to wait for the new one. I have put some engine oil around, outside and inside, and now I will use the old seal here, because the socket I have is a little bit smaller than what was needed. I just have a 32, but like this, I will tap it, and I will push the new one in without damaging it. Another way you have to do this is to use the old seal, put it here, slide the pulley, and now tighten the bolt until you push it all in. Now, as you can see, it is sitting flush as it should. Next, I will install the idler puller and the tensioner. Just apply some blue Loctite on the thread of the bolt, and you can torque it in. So this guy is torqued to 50 Newton meter. The tensioner, you have a tab here to put this hole. I will also use a little bit of blue Loctite on this one, and I will just hand tighten it in place, and I will not torque it yet. Just put it here hand tight and it will be okay. Next, I will put the belt around, put the pulley in place, and the key, the spacer, and the new bolt to tighten everything together. Just fit it here loosely around. Keep in mind that the key has some chamfered sides that they should face down against the groove on the crankshaft. Now you can put the belt. Just loose in here, like this, it's okay. Next, the spacer. And now the bolt. I will now torque this bolt to 160 Newton meter. In order for me to be able to torque this, I fit in the back some old flywheel bolts, and I put a crossbar on the engine stand, and in this way it will be locked, and I can apply force to the crankshaft. At this point, we are ready to start to set the timing. Let's loose the belt one more time, and if you see, right in here you have the top dead center. Here you have this arrow, and you have a small indentation on the pulley. Let's align them really well, and just like this, we are ensuring that we have top dead center. With the crank pulley on top dead center, let's now fit the belt around the exhaust side, making sure that we have the E facing up and the I here aligned with the mark on the back plate. This way the belt will be tight on this side. I will put a zip tie here on top, just to be sure that the belt don't move. So here it will be secure. Now let's concentrate on the intake side. The intake side on the VVT engine don't have the mark on top of the pulley, so we can just put it on time with the mark on the back plate. Let me just push it there, and that's it. Okay, at this point the belt is installed in place, all the marks are aligned, and we need to make one more check. We need to count 19 teeth on the belt between the mark on the exhaust side and the top on the intake side. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So we are exactly in place. Remember, our tensioner, it's loose in here. What we do next, we put our spring in here. Don't forget the spring with the rubber. Put it here, and then we need to push it to that tab in the other side. There you go. Now let's cut the zip tie. One last check to ensure that all the marks are in place. So in here it is. The I is aligned with I, the E with the E vertical, and 19 teeth between the tops. Let's now rotate the engine 2 times and make sure that everything still aligned. Okay. Now the crank is aligned, the exhaust is aligned, and the intake is also aligned. So we can torque the tensioner in place and it will be locked and our timing is set. With everything torqued, let's spin the engine one more time. And everything is aligned, everything looks fine. We successfully timed the engine. Now, with the timing belt installed and everything set, we can cover the front of the engine with the right covers. Now, in order to prepare the valve cover to be installed, I open it all because I prepare it to have the connections welded for the oil catch cans, and I also open this port here to allow bigger airflow from the valve cover. So now I will reinstall the plates. All of them were sealed in place to avoid as maximum as possible the passage of oil. So I will just put it again with some sealant. This is not 100% necessary, but I think it will be better. I have already applied a thin line of sealant all around. So now I will just install the plates in place. Be careful. This one, it has a small recess here that needs to be aligned with the air passage. With the plates bolted in place, we just need to put the gasket all around and we will have the valve cover ready to be bolted on the engine. Let's take it to the engine. Before we can put the valve cover in, we need to put some sealant here on these corners, as requested on the Mazda manual. Here it is. So, what do you guys think about my color scheme? I was in doubt if I should powder coat it or not, but I'm really happy I decided to do it because, in my opinion, it's really amazing. These bolts required 8.8 Newton meter. Here it is. The valve cover is now torqued in place and the top of the engine is closed. This was the video for today. I really hope you enjoy it and it can be useful for you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications so you don't lose any of the new content. Follow me also on the social networks, on Facebook and especially on Instagram, where I post regular updates between the videos. See you on the next one. Bye!